Hi everyone, welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I am broadcasting this IELTS lesson to you from Central Europe. Hope everybody is having a great Saturday so far. Today's lesson is a Task 1 letter. It will be a formal type of letter. And our materials are coming from our websites. For General IELTS, check us out at IELTShelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. And if you are learning for the academic IELTS, please visit us at aehelp.com. That's academicenglishhelp.com. On both of those websites, we have 6 full practice exams, over 100 hours of video lessons, and a fully interactive course. Hi, Kyber. Good to see you in class nice and early. I'm doing great. Thank you. And just a quick peek before we get going here. These are our websites. This is the academic IELTS website with the blue background. Click that big red button to join that portal. And if you are learning for the general IELTS, then check out this website with the green background and click that red button there to join us. You can buy our books from Amazon, our exam books. Search for GE Helps General IELTS or AE Helps Academic IELTS in your Amazon bookstore. If you have questions about IELTS or our products, send me an email. My name, Adrian at gieltshelp.com, and I will gladly respond. Hi, students joining in. Hi, Kamal. Hi, Pachu. Hi, Rams Shino. Good to see you in class. All right, students, so these live classes, they are 13:30 to 14:30 Central European Time, CET, and I run these classes Wednesday to Saturday. We also have IELTS classes on our Academic English Help channel. That's this one here for Academic IELTS, and that's from 15 to 16 o'clock CET. Today, it's Saturday, so it's our last class for this week. It's Task 1 letter writing. We're putting up some new videos on Sunday. And then I'm back on the 27th with another live class, speaking part 1 strategy. So check that out. All right, let's get into our Task 1. So here we go, students. You get to the writing section of the IELTS exam. It is the last section for your sit-down part of the test, right? So the IELTS exam is roughly 3 hours for the sit-down portion. It starts with about 50 minutes of listening, followed by 1 hour of reading, and then finally followed by 1 hour of writing, okay? The reading and the writing are different between the general and the academic versions of the exam. So make sure you know which one you are needing to do. Task 1 for General IELTS is a letter. You have to write a letter. Sometimes they'll say an email, but you're basically writing a letter. It's a piece of communication, okay? This piece of communication is narrative, so you're telling a story, and you can use first, second, third person voice. So you can use I, me, my, you, people, and so on. You should spend about 20 minutes on this task. Please do not spend more than 20 minutes on task 1 because it is worth 1/3 of your writing mark. 2/3, okay, of your writing mark is from task 2. So task 2 is worth twice as much. Now, here many students ask me, should I start with task 2 then? No. Okay, start with task 1. Why? Why is it a good idea to start with task 1 instead of task 2? Does anybody know that? Munzir, Harpreet Singh, Uzman, Akbar, good day. Do you know why you don't want to start with task 2? Why you should start with task 1? Why is that a good idea? Tell me, and then we'll go on here. It's good to keep this in mind, okay? Because that will help you to get focused. So why? Why should you start with task 1 and not task 2? They don't tell you, so they don't say that you have to start with task 1. You can choose, but it's better to start with task 1. Okay, Kyber, that's a good answer. So Kyber says, well, because task 2 is tough. Or another way to say it, Kyber, is task 2 is more difficult than task 1. Okay, so it is a more challenging task. And Pachu, you're right. Okay, very good answer by Pachu. Task 1 is like a warm-up. So if you're going to make mistakes, it's better to make mistakes in task 1, get your brain going in the world of literature and writing, and then go into task 2 and make less mistakes, okay? So task 1 is better as a warm-up than starting with task 2 and making mistakes. Especially remember, you just finished the reading section. So your brain is a little bit tired, maybe confused, especially if you're doing a lot of scanning and skimming. So you should start with task 1, okay? All right, good. So let's read the question and then we'll move on. So you should spend 20 minutes on this task. The airline lost your luggage on your trip home and you decide to write a letter to the company office. All right, well, I don't know how much each of you travels by plane, but missing luggage does happen. It's happened with me in the past, so it's good practice for your English. And it's a classic situation. Now, if you're moving to another country or planning to study in another country, hopefully it doesn't happen, but if it does, this is great practice. All right, write a letter to the administration. In your letter, explain what happened. Describe your disappointment and contents of your luggage. Request compensation and investigation. Okay? Yes, this is a formal letter because you're not writing to a friend. You're writing to a company. So it has to be a formal letter. You're using formal language. Write at least 150 words. Okay? What does it mean at least 150 words? So why does IELTS say this? What does that actually mean? Write at least 150 words. Okay. Pachu, you want to be more specific than that. So let's just take it step by step. Okay. Sahayatri, you should write a conclusion for the letter. It's quite important. If you don't have a clear conclusion, it will cost marks, or you're not getting marks if you're not writing a conclusion. We'll get there. You're jumping kind of to the end of the class, so let's not go there. So Mukesh says we have to write minimum 150 words. So what happens, Mukesh, if you don't write 150 words? So it's an important question, students. A lot of students are confused by the word limits. And I want to make sure that all of you are very clear about what the 150 word limit is for task 1. So write at least 150 words. So Mukesh says that if I write less than 150 words, I will start to lose scores because the task response is not achieved. Yes, absolutely. So let me just break out into this a little bit. Okay, a native speaker can fairly easily write 150 words in a 20-minute time. Okay, all right. What happens if I write more than 150 words? So if I write less than 150 words, start to lose scores for not completing task 1. What happens if I write more? Say 200 words. What will happen? Okay. Yeah, Subodh, absolutely, you will leave a space after the greeting. So Munzir says you might be taking time away from task 2. So yeah, absolutely, you want to be very careful with that. But not much. It means you're completing the task and you're probably going to get a good band score, but you have to do it in 20 minutes. So you're doing a good job. Just make sure that you can do it within 20 minutes. Okay, band 8 and band 9 candidates usually write between 200 to 250 words in the 20 minutes. Okay. Okay, one more question about this word count, just so that everybody is super clear on this and you're not going to be confused by this. So here's a good question for you. Which is better for your band score? It's a multiple choice question. So which is better for your band score? A, write 130 words of good quality information, or B, write 200 words of so-so quality information. So which one's better for your band scores, do you think? Think 130 words of good quality information will get the higher band score for task 1, or writing 200 words of so-so quality with some grammar mistakes and some word choice mistakes? Which one do you think will be better, A or B? I'm very curious what people think about this. Manzura says maybe B, Mukesh says A, Pachu says B. So notice that there's some disagreement here. Tatsuki Tomatsu says B as well. A will get the better score. Okay. So answer, most likely A will get the better score. Okay. Just because you're 20 words under the 150 word limit, if that 130 words has good grammar, good spelling, complex language, it will get a higher score than the so-so. So this can still get a band 7.5. Okay. This one here, B, will likely not get over 6.5. Okay, so this will be probably the maximum for B, but A can still get 7.5 because the 20-word difference might drop you one band or maybe a band and a half, but it's not going to cause more damage than that. Okay, so the key information here is quality is more important than quantity. Okay. Now, of course, within reason, students. So if you wrote only 100 words or 80 words, then yeah, you're going to get a 6 or a 6.5 at most, okay? You can't write half the assignment. This is close to complete, okay? It's just 20 words off, so it's 90% complete, okay? So quality is more important than quantity. Keep that in mind, all right? So you have to practice that at home. You have to practice time management, okay? All right, so what do we do first? Again, the question that we're looking at today, it's in the stream description. So for students who are joining in late, the question is in the stream description. So an airline lost our luggage on our trip home. We decide to write a letter to the company, to the administration. We want to explain what happened. We describe our disappointment, the contents of our luggage. We want to request compensation and investigation into this matter. So what should we do first? What is our first step? Okay. What do I need to concentrate on doing first? Pachu says, describe yourself. Hardeep says, introduction. First of all, students, you want to do a little bit of planning, okay? Even with the 20 minutes, you need to plan. Don't just start writing, okay? It's a really bad idea to just start writing without planning, okay? So starting to write without planning is a bad idea, all right? Okay, do not just begin writing without any planning. That is a very bad idea. Okay, so spend 1 to 2 minutes to plan your thoughts so that you can write quickly and well. Okay, start with questions. Okay, so for this task 1, what kind of questions should I ask? So in my 2 minutes of planning, in my mind, I'm asking myself some questions related to this task 1. What kind of questions should I ask myself to make sure that I have good ideas and that I'm writing a powerful essay? So here again is the task 1. You can look at it. What kind of questions should I be asking at this point before I begin writing? Okay. So I know that I have to write the introduction. I know that I have to write the purpose, the analysis. We'll get into that. But what do I put in there, right? Even if you're a native English speaker, it's difficult to write well spontaneously without any planning. It's even more difficult if it's not your native language, not your first language. So planning becomes even more important for using a foreign language when you write a letter. So here, we want to start with some questions. What kind of a question should I ask in my mind when I'm planning? Okay, so Imuri Ahmed says, how and where was your trip? Yeah, so very good, Ahmed. I like it, okay? So where was I? Okay, you have to make this up, right? So you can use information from your past or from your experiences, but you're making this up. You're using your imagination. So where was I? Is a good question. Sure. Where did I just get back from, right? Where did I return from? Okay. What else do I need to ask? Be specific. Don't just generally ask W questions. Okay, Pachu says, what was the purpose of my trip? Right, Pachu? I think that's what you were thinking. All right. I think you're jumping ahead, Kyber, with why it's important for me. Okay, now, Pachu, that's good. So you're getting to specific. What was the number of my flight? Okay. Yeah, so questions breed questions. When you start asking questions, more questions come into your mind. So questions breed questions. That's great. So Harpreet, careful to pay attention to the question. The question is, you're returning home. So that's an easy one, where you're going, because you just got home. Okay, so it's where you were. Okay. So when was it? Time and date. And Pachu, very clever. So we're looking for quantitative information. When was it? Time and date. Sure. Remember quantitative information. That reminds you. Okay, good. I don't see it yet, but what did I lose, right? Or another way to say it is, what was in my luggage? Because of course a lot of students or a lot of people will think clothes, right? All my clothes were in my luggage, my jacket, my pants, they were in the luggage. But if you think about it, for this question, I'm sure that 9 out of 10 IELTS students will be writing, I lost my clothes, okay? My favorite jacket. But maybe there was more in your luggage than just your clothes. If you can describe that and go into specifics, you're going to get a better score for using more unique language and lexical resource. Okay, so what did I lose? What was in my luggage? What do I need as compensation? Oops. Okay, so all of those are great questions. So again, when you're preparing to begin your letter, 1 to 2 minutes of thinking about these questions and answering is going to make more sense. So let's start with the first one. Let's answer some of these questions before we begin to write so that we have clear direction and that we can create a clear structure. So where were you? Where did you get home from? Okay, where were you flying from? So come up with a place. You don't have to be too clever here. Don't take a lot of time. Just choose a specific place. Okay. Okay, so I think here a lot of students would just quickly say, oh, I was in Canada. But you want to be more specific than that. Okay. So you're coming home from Toronto, Canada, arriving to New Delhi International. Okay, so that was your trip, sure. So you were coming from Toronto, Canada, and you're arriving to New Delhi International Airport, sure. Or Sydney, Australia, and you arrived to Kuala Lumpur. Okay, absolutely, sure. Okay, what was the purpose of your trip? This is a very clever question to ask before you begin writing. So what was the purpose of your trip? Okay, remember the original question is asking to explain what happened, describe your disappointment and contents of your luggage, request compensation and investigation. Okay, so Rekha, one of our members from our academic channel, hi Rekha. Yeah, so Rekha says maybe it was a business trip. So I think a lot of students, when they see this task 1, they might just quickly jump to, oh, I was on vacation, right? But a business trip might work better than a tourist trip in this case, Samir. Okay, so, and you'll see why. Okay, so business trip, maybe a vacation. Okay, you can decide that. Flight number, just make it up. Okay. Don't need to spend time on that. When was it? Again, keep it simple. So, arrived yesterday at 8:30 a.m. in the morning. Right? Okay, let's go to this question. This is the other really good question is what did you lose? So what was in my luggage? Now, we can take a two-pronged approach here. Okay, so keep going with this two idea, the business and the vacation. So if it's business, then what was in your luggage? Okay. So Kamal says maybe a laptop, some business documents. A hard drive. Okay. Some kind of a prototype. Probably not a good idea to put that into your check-in luggage, but we can play with it a little bit. A prototype product like a pen, right? Some contracts, Rekha, that's right. Okay, good. So now you see why the business trip might be a little bit more effective for the letter than writing about a vacation. All right, if I'm on vacation, so let's play with it. So if I'm on vacation, what might have been in my luggage? So if it's a vacation, what can I write about? Okay, clothes. What else? What might have been in the luggage if it were a vacation, not a company? Okay, jewelry, sure, possible. Yeah. What else? Electronics like camera. There we go. Aigul, welcome to class. Another one of our Academic English Help members. Hi, Aigul. Yeah, souvenirs. Okay, everybody knows what souvenirs are? Souvenirs. Souvenirs are gifts. Hardeep, please do not put your passport into your check-in luggage. I don't think that's going to work because that would be with you when you're going through the airport. Okay, souvenirs are traditional gifts, right? Good. Quick question. If I'm on a business trip to Canada, Toronto, and I have a laptop, some business documents, hard drive, is it possible for me to also have souvenirs in my luggage from my business trip? And I'm sure most of you are going, yes, Adrian, of course it is. Of course it is. So this is why it's good to have open thinking when you're planning out your response, because you can realize that, oh, sure, I can have souvenirs here as well. Okay. So now what do I need as compensation? Okay. So we're dealing with the airline. What am I going to ask for? So what do I want in exchange? So they lost my luggage, they lost my camera, they lost my hard drive, business documents, they lost my souvenirs. What do I want in exchange for this? Okay, well, the first that comes to mind is money. Okay. All right. Money, say in the amount of $4,000. Okay, so $4,000 in damages, right, of what you lost, let's say. Okay, what else? Other than just money, what else might you ask for as well? So what else will you ask for in this case? So money is possible, yeah. Mukesh, I think you're thinking what I'm thinking. Flight, okay, so... So request for a free flight in the future. Maybe you have another trip coming up to Canada and you want to say that, hey, I think you guys owe me at least one free flight of my choosing. Okay. Yeah. So Mitesh, good. You're on the same page as me. You're saying my next business trip flights, tickets at the least would be compensation. Okay. Rekha says legal documents cannot be compensated. Of course, Rekha, they cannot. So you can't ask for something that the airline cannot give you. Okay. Kyber says maybe even free flights, business class. Okay. So give you at least a bit of comfort. Ida says, try to find my luggage. Yeah. Okay. So that's if they don't. Okay, good. So students, we have lots of great information. And obviously, you know, we spent a bit of time planning this and thinking about this. But in the real IELTS, you're doing this in 2 minutes, okay? So your planning is very, very quick, okay? So this is very important. Spend 1 or 2 minutes. So think to yourself, okay, and when you're planning, do it in English, okay? Don't do it in your own language. Please don't use 2 languages in one exam. It's a very bad idea. It's usually lower intermediate level students who use 2 languages when they're doing a language exam. To be a 6.5 band in IELTS, or especially higher, like 7 band, you need to be thinking in English as well as doing the exam in English. So you must learn to do this in English. Okay, so do your planning in English. It's really hard for the brain to switch between languages. So you don't want to do that. Okay, it's tiring. And our brain uses different parts for different languages. So you really want to avoid planning in your own language. Sometimes students ask me in part 2 speaking when I'm taking notes, is it okay if I'm taking notes in my own language? No, it's not a good idea. Okay, you should take notes in English when you're writing your notes for part 2. All right. Okay, so in English, in the 2 minutes, ask yourself, where was I? Where did I get home from? Toronto, Canada. I arrived to New Delhi International. Sure. What was the purpose of my trip? Let's go with business trip. Okay, we're going to stay with the business trip. What was my flight number? Sure, let's make that up. When was it? What's the time and date? Good. I remember that I have to use quantitative information. So numbers are my friend. Numbers are my friend. Using information like 8:30 a.m. on March 22nd in the morning, Tuesday. It's really good to use language like that. What did I lose? What was in my luggage? Okay, so I was on a business trip. There was a laptop in there, some business documents, some new contracts, a hard drive with some important information, and also my clothes, of course. Not only that, but it even had some souvenirs that I was bringing home to my family and friends from Toronto. Fantastic, okay? You're doing a great job. So now, let's start writing the letter. Okay, the letter has 3 parts. The letter just starts with dear something. And then the letter should start with part 1. Part 1 is the introduction. It introduces yourself and the purpose of your letter. So why you are writing this letter. So let's do that. Let's start with dear. And let's write the introduction. So do it, students. This is your chance to shine. Okay. This is your chance to shine. So, how should I start it? Dear what? What's a good salutation? I wouldn't do dear sir or madam. Okay. I would be a little bit more specific. So, Pachu says, dear airline administration. Can you be even more clever than that, students? Can you even think of something more specific? So, dear it's a long one, but sure, why not? Dear Air Canada Luggage Department Management. Long, but hey, I promise you, if the IELTS examiner is reading this, they'll be thinking, okay, that person obviously has a good idea of what they need to do. Munzir says you could write Dear Airport Authority. That would be okay as well. Okay, I like it. So that could work if you're writing to the airport. Remember, Munzir, that the question is asking you to write to the airline administration, right? So the original question says, write a letter to the administration, okay? The airline lost your luggage. Could be the airport authority. All right, so let's keep going with the introduction. Okay, let's keep going with the introduction. So let's introduce ourselves and the purpose of your letter. Okay, I'm going to write the introduction while you think about it, and then we'll compare, all right? Okay, let's see what you have. Igul says, Dear Canada Luggage Administration. Dear Air Canada, Igul. Dear Air Canada Luggage Administration would be good. Rekha says, my name is Rekha Rawat and one of your loyal patrons of your airline. Yeah, okay, Rekha, good. Just watch your grammar. My name is Rekha Rawat, comma, one of your loyal patrons, period. Last week, I traveled from New Delhi to Amritsar via flight number AM675, seat number 24. I think you're getting into specifics, Rekha. So careful not to confuse information for your body paragraph with your introduction. In the introduction, you just want to tell the purpose of your letter, okay? So this is what I wrote. My name is Adam Smith, and I am a frequent flyer with Air Canada. Unfortunately, when unfortunately starts the sentence, we follow it with a comma. Okay, it's a leading expression. Unfortunately, on my last trip home to Delhi, my luggage was lost by your airline, and this has cost me both financial and emotional strain. Okay. And then we can keep going. I am writing this letter to inform you of the details and seek compensation. Okay. You can be very direct, especially in a formal letter. All right. Kyber says, Dear Air Canada Luggage Department, I am writing to express my dissatisfaction with the way your airline handled my luggage. Don't generalize, Kyber. It's not the best for communication. I traveled to London from New York on the 27th of May, 2018. Okay. Remember, students, pay attention to the question. It does say you're traveling home. Okay. So you're home. Igul says, my name is Ivanova Anna, and I want to inform you that on my trip from Canada to Moscow, my suitcase was lost by your airline. Igul, very nice start. Very clear, very direct. Okay. Ida says, my name is Ida. I am writing to inform you that I lost my luggage when I was flying to Canada. Okay, Ida, be very careful. You didn't lose your luggage. The airline lost your luggage. If you say, Ida, I lost my luggage, it's very confusing because they'll say, well, that's your problem. They might not even read the rest of your letter. So you have to be very clear that the airline lost your luggage. Okay? All right. So now I continue with the body paragraph. The body paragraph is where you go into details, you give deeper explanations. It has a beginning, it has a middle, it has an end. So in this case, the beginning is losing my luggage. The middle is what happened, how I feel about it, and the end is what happens now. Right? That makes sense. Was that clear for everybody? So a narrative, a story, a letter is a story. Just like any good story, has to have good structure. Good structure means beginning, middle, end. The easiest way to think about this is chronologically. Chronologically means according to time. Okay, what happened first, second, third. So don't start with, my luggage was full of valuable items, please give me $5,000. Okay, that would be like, there are other ways to do it, but it's not the easiest way. Okay, the easiest way is to start with, I arrived to New Delhi International Airport on March 22nd. Okay, so let me start it off and write with me, students. Okay, so we're going to start the body paragraph here. Let's write together. Okay, I will write, you write first. Describe the situation in detail, arriving at the airport. Okay, so I arrived to New Delhi International Airport on flight. This is where I'm putting in my flight number. Okay, I don't want to throw the flight number right away. All right. So arrived to New Delhi International Airport on flight number 45832 something A, seat 22, at 8:30 a.m. on the morning of March 22nd. Of course, after clearing customs, I went to the luggage. Anybody knows what that's called without me giving it to you? What is that piece of equipment called that's got the luggage moving around and around and around and around, waiting for people to go over there and pick it up? Anybody know what that piece of equipment is called? And try not to Google it. Just see if you can remember what that's called. It's a good word to know. It's called a belt sometimes. There is another word for it. Belt is not what we use most commonly, at least not in Canada. Belt or conveyor belt is okay. Hi, Omar. Al-Najjar, good to see you in class. So you can say conveyor belt, but that's not the most accurate. Anybody know the other word for it? But the better word is, it's a luggage, what? It's a luggage carousel. Okay, it's called a luggage carousel. It's part of the, I believe the British distinctly call it a luggage carousel. Okay. There we go. Luggage carousel. Okay. All right. So, of course, after clearing customs, I went to the luggage carousel and waited for my check-in bags to arrive. Notice how I'm very careful not to use the word luggage again. So luggage carousel and waited for my check-in luggage to arrive. It's not terrible, but check-in bags to arrive is better. Or if I'm not using bags, I can use suitcase. To arrive. Okay. To my great disappointment, after waiting for what seemed an eternity, I realized that my luggage had been lost or misplaced. Okay, so I'm moving along here. Good. Kyber, great. So you're writing. Again, students, I'm not just writing for you, I'm writing with you. So please type in your own sentences. These are just some example sentences that I'm putting together for you. Okay? So, to my great disappointment, after waiting for what seemed an eternity, I realized that my luggage had been lost or misplaced. Now, notice, why am I getting a band 9 for this? I'm using natural expression. Even though it's formal, this expression is a formal expression, what seemed an eternity. I realized that my luggage had been lost or misplaced. Using luggage, had been lost, passive voice with past perfect. Okay. Munzir, it's good. Yeah, waiting for 3 hours. Sure, use some quantitative language. Absolutely. You could say, to my great disappointment, after waiting for 3 hours, I realized that my luggage had been lost or misplaced. Quantitative language is fantastic, Munzir. Absolutely. Okay. Keep writing, students. Again, we're writing together. All right? We're writing together. Okay. Rekha says, I arrived at New Delhi International Airport on flight number DE568, seat 45 at 9 p.m. on the night of March 12th. After all the formalities, I went to the luggage carousel and waited for my check-in briefcase to arrive. Rekha, briefcases usually carry-on. Briefcases are smaller, so it's most likely a suitcase. Okay, not a briefcase, but a suitcase that you're checking in. Nice expression, Rekha, with after all the formalities. Okay, I like it. That's good. Aigul says, on 23rd of March, I arrived at the International Airport of Moscow at 17 p.m., flight number CAM-W123. After landing, I waited. After landing, Aigul, comma, okay, that is a leading expression or the dependent clause. I waited for my luggage on the conveyor belt to appear, but it did not. Aigul, for formal letters, don't use contractions, okay, Aigul? So don't use didn't, but use did not instead. All right? Immediately, I went to the airline luggage department to report the situation. One of the clerks took down my information and told me that the airline would be in contact as soon as my luggage turned up. Okay, so going along with this. All right, so again, make sure that you're practicing your timing and you're only writing as much as what you can fit into that 20 minutes, okay? So here, now, I don't want to spend too much more time on this, like I haven't heard from them and so on, because I don't want to run out of time. So I go back to my planning and I remember that, okay, now I need to include information about the contents of my luggage. So go ahead, students, write it some sentences on telling the airline administration what was in the luggage. Okay. So since the purpose, I'm going to be a little bit silent so I'm not distracting you, okay, while you write this, and then we'll compare. Okay, let's see what you have. Munzir Khalid says, there were several items of value in my suitcase, not least of all a certain amount of valuable jewelry and some expensive perfumes. Okay, Munzir, good. So you're on the same track as I'm on. In addition, there were clothes specifically bought for the holiday and certain souvenirs that are of sentimental value, despite being of little monetary value. Okay, good. Munzir, great. Some nice composition there. I'm going with business trip here, as we discussed. You're going with a vacation. That's fine. But that works well. So this is what I wrote. Since the purpose of my trip was for business, there were important contents in my luggage, including a laptop, documents, and souvenirs from my family, as well as my suit and other formal clothing. Okay. Okay, I'm being a little bit silent so that you can also think while you're writing. All right, Rekha says, after waiting for 2 hours, I went to the airline luggage department to acknowledge pertaining suitcase. Rekha, acknowledge pertaining suitcase is a bit awkward. To report my missing suitcase. At the reception desk, the officer made me wait 10 minutes because he was busy with a phone call. Rekha, careful not to go too much off topic and be too sentimental. Make sure that you're more to the point, especially keeping in mind, Rekha, that you have just 20 minutes for this, okay? It's not the same as if you're writing this letter at home in the real world and you have a lot more time to complain about the officer and so on, okay? So careful about that, okay? This is what I wrote here. I estimate the total value of the contents to be around 3,000 USD, for most of which I can provide proof of purchase. Okay. Certainly, I expect to be compensated for this loss by either cash or flights or both. Again, showing my range of English use with correlative conjunctions like either or, all right? use your range of English knowledge. That's what's important. So don't just think about what you're saying, students, but think about how you're saying it. Okay? Try to use coordinating, correlative, as well as subordinating conjunctions. Okay? So I expect to be compensated for this loss either by cash or flights or both. Okay, and then in the third part of task 1, we want to sign off and we want to request that the person who we're communicating with responds to our message, to our inquiry. So that's what we want to do now. Okay, so I'm going to finish this. So I look forward to hearing from you soon with acceptable solutions. And I sincerely hope that my faith in Air Canada will be redeemed. Please contact me as soon as possible in this regard by email or phone. Okay, make up a phone number. And then sincerely, what was the name that I used? Adam Smith. Okay, so there's my letter. Let me just do a quick word count, see where we're at. It's roughly 230 words from what I can see. Okay, and then I'm just going to read it, make sure there aren't any major mistakes. So here we go. Dear Air Canada Luggage Department Management, notice the language, students, the content, and the structure. Okay. My name is Adam Smith, and I am a frequent flyer with Air Canada. Unfortunately, on my last trip home to Delhi, my luggage was lost by our airline, and this has cost me both financial and emotional strain. So I have another correlative conjunction there. I am writing this letter to inform you of the details and seek compensation. I arrived to New Delhi International Airport on flight number 45293A, seat 22, at 8:30 a.m. on the morning of March 22nd. Of course, after clearing customs, I went to the Luggage Carousel and waited for my check-in suitcase to arrive. To my great disappointment, after waiting for what seemed an eternity, I realized that my luggage had been lost or misplaced. Immediately, I went to the airline luggage department to report the situation. One of the clerks took down my information and told me that the airline would be in contact as soon as my luggage turned up. Since the purpose of my trip was for business, there were important contents in my luggage, including a laptop, documents, and souvenirs for my family, as well as my suit and other formal clothing. I estimate the total value of the contents to be around $3,000, for most of which I can provide proof of purchase. Certainly, I expect to be compensated for this loss by either cash or flights or both. I look forward to hearing from you soon with acceptable solutions, and I sincerely hope that my faith in Air Canada will be redeemed. Please contact me as soon as possible in this regard by email or phone. All right, students, so that is the letter. Sorry if you feel I rushed a little bit at the end, but it's because I am out of time and I wanted you to see the completed letter before I sign off for this week's of live classes. Thank you, students, for your participation and for the great contribution to those who wrote into the chat and shared their ideas and their English skills. Good for you. As a challenge to those of you who want a little bit of homework over the next few days, write this letter in your own words. Send it to me by email. My email is adrian@gieltshelp.com. And for the studious ones, definitely check out our websites. This is our general IELTS website at gieltshelp.com. Click that red button to join us there. And for academic IELTS, it's this website here with the blue background. Click that big red button to join us there for lots of great IELTS materials and strategies and tips to help you really improve your band scores. So make sure to visit us there. Have a great rest of your weekend, a good start to your next week, and hopefully I'll see many of you on our Academic English Help channel in 30 minutes for Task 2. Much love to all of you. Bye for now.